We're basically just talking about who we are for Molycop, our part design template system we use to generate axles, and then just a brief overview of our wheel plant production system. Brief history. It's actually a tale of two companies. 1917, a consortium of BHP executives and Vickers Railways from the UK come together to form a company in Newcastle to produce railway products for Australia called Comsteel. In 1918 they began production. In 1929 they added the forged grinding ball production on site. And in 1938 we developed our own nickel chrome moly steel begins on site. Over the other side, there's a company in the United States called Sheffield Steel. In 1920 they were approached by a cement manufacturer to purchase offcuts and rejects from their Bolton nut factory to use as grinding media in their cement plants. They soon came to the realisation there was actually time for a new product to be developed, and they developed the world's first grinding media ball for milling and crushing operations. 1930 they introduced a new product range with molybdenum and copper, which gives much improved hardness and wear performance. In 1940 they branded this product as Molycop and started trading under that name. In 1961 the global expansion of this company led to plants in Canada, Mexico, Peru and Indonesia. In 2007, One Steel purchases both Comsteel outright and Molycop as complete going concerns. In 2011, One Steel changes its name to Arium and formally groups all its manufacturing assets under the company name Molycop. And as you're aware, 2016, once Arium went into bankruptcy, so the assets of Molycop were sold off to a mutual fund based in New York called American Industry Partners, who specialise in buying manufacturing businesses, injecting capital into them, and developing the business and business plans. As such, we've just finished purchasing Dynad's bolts and specialty fasteners in Australia, and as of January this year we finished purchasing Sabo grinding media in Spain, which now officially makes us the largest grinding media plant in the world. And for this 5 weeks ago, they actually did a global brand relaunch with a new plan and a new strategy. To liberate, value for those who we serve, to insert for that. Basically, we are now looking next 5 years adding businesses and services to our portfolio, which will enhance and aid in mining resources and etc. Yeah. As such, we have Alta Steel from Canada, Molycop Group of grinding media plants, and the Comsteel plant up in Newcastle, which I'm here to speak about today. Yeah, Comsteel. So the Comsteel railway price is now a brand name that we are trading under. As I mentioned before, we just celebrated 100 years of manufacturing railway products in this country. It's based in Newcastle last year. We produce high haulage railway wheels, locomotive wheels, passenger wheels, double and single flange track wheels, railway axles and railway wheel sets. Now about our team. We have a 3-man team in our rail design office, which is rail design engineer Mr. Phil Dawes, who unfortunately gives his apologies he could not be here today. Our draftsman, Mr. Broderick Smith, who's actually up in the corner there, and myself as the CNC programmer. We've been with PTC since 1997 with Pro Engineering Release 18. We're currently running Creo 4 M20 and ANSYS version 16. But Creo is not the only software packages we use on site. We actually have a suite of software packages we use in our manufacturing process which interact with Creo and transfer parts and information back and forth. The other software packages are Quantiform, which is our forging simulation software, the Technigarma laser measuring system, and the VeriCut machining verification and simulation software. Just a quick bit of statistics. We're currently producing 45,000 wheels a year. We have done 90,000 in the past. We produce 5,000 plus axles a year. We can ramp up to 1,200 a month. We are a manufacturer to order business model where customers supply us with their drawings and we make their product to their drawings with some modifications for our manufacturing process. We have over 600 wheel designs on our system, 230 different tread profiles on our system, and 180 different axle designs, which can make it quite a tall order to try and manage. Just some of the roles and responsibilities that the three-man team has. And the design and customer quotation is product and planning and cost estimate, product design and preparation of advanced models for third-party analysis. As unfortunately, as per the AAR specifications, we don't have the level of accreditation to do our own analysis for the customer for the standard. So we have to prepare the models and send them out to a third-party firm to do the final analysis. Proposal drawings for customers, manufacturing drawings for the shop floor, drawing management control to meet the control auditing program requirements, mill gear gauges and drawings for mill equipment setup sheets. In the manufacturing side, we do machining of the forged dies and associated mill equipment, liaison with subcontractors who we send parts outside for, tread and web profile gauge design, daily production control monitoring, finished product inspection sheets, batch and serial number tracking. Every single wheel comes through our plant has to be tracked. From the heat batch of the steel making to the final wheel going out the door, we have to be able to prove and go back through the records with every single serial number of wheel and prove its process. It's valid. It's met the requirements under the standard. We also got to maintain the package and shipping database where we have different wheels with the same product going to different customers, different locations having different requirements. It can be a bit complex to manage. I'll just briefly go over the actual design process. Now, when LEAP took over the support in Australia for PTC, they came outside and looked at what we were doing, and they quite soon realised that the way we were generating axles was complex and leading to problems and errors. Basically, we had every single axle in one file using family tables and relations and part programming to control it. It got to a point where that file became so big, complex, that it became unreliable. So with the guidance of that LEAP, we actually came up with a new standard way of doing it. It's basically what we call a template system. In this template system, we're using custom drawing formats, parameters, relations, part design programming, and this is all regenerated by a text file. Here is an example. We've got in this folder the actual template part and the template drawing, and that's the text file for the new axle we're about to create. On the right hand side of this is that text file opened up. And you can see it's a list of all the parameters and the values in it. It takes us 10 minutes with custom drawing to go through and fill out this text file with all the key information we need. This is the default template drawing. You can see a lot of the fields aren't filled out, and it's just a standard trailer axle. This is the actual blank form that creates that drawing. And as you see, all the tables have parameters added into the tables to generate the information. This is our standard axle part. It's a standard trailer axle which is symmetrical both sides. It has two wheel seats, 3 holes in each end, a center hole, and just a tapered body. There's nothing really flash about this. In this slide here, you'll see that The new axle is going to have no tapped holes. So these tapped holes here won't be on the new axle. So when we go through, this is actually part of the design programming that's attached to this file that controls how everything reacts in the relations and the parameter tables. This is now a video of how quickly this process goes. We open the file up, we then copy the name of the text file, including the extension. And then we come up to regenerate. We use read by file. We paste that name in and regenerate. And that quickly regenerated a new axle. Go back to the drawing. So you can actually see now this axle now has a gear seat added, has suspension journals added, and has taken the holes off both ends and has actually added a spigot to the end of it. Yeah, you can see that there, there's no holes. You go back to the drawing, you can actually see that the drawing name has been propagated, correct mass, the part name, the customer drawing numbers, our internal reference numbers, and all the major dimensions are attached and correct to the axle. 80% of the work is done in seconds by using this new system, and then it's a matter of going through and adding extra detail and dimensions and features that may be on the customer drawing, and then double checking all the dimensions. But this is how quick we can generate a new axle using the new system we've been developed. I'll just go through an overview of the wheel production plan. We start off with an ingot of steel, which gets cut into what we call cheeses, so basically a metal slab of ingot based on weight, and gets put into a furnace, gets heated up. We start with the design phase, where we go through and test everything, and we actually test the design of the wheel through answers to see that the design's not going to cause any issues. At which point, once we're satisfied with that, we then start creating the initial die setup based on what we've done in the past with some wheel similar. And then we run it through quantiform, which actually simulates how it's going to flow in the forging dies and shows the stresses and the way the material is going to flow. We then start producing new die equipment to suit this process. That's a new top edition die we just machined recently, and die check gauges to suit. Now we used to send these outside. When we basically, because when the last 15 years we've had so much workload on, we couldn't machine these in house anymore. We had to send these outside. But with the workloads reduced because of the reduction in capital project work, we're bringing this back in house again. So 15 months ago, we started the program of remachining our dies in-house, refurbishing or making new equipment in-house again. Here's an example of a slabbing die setup that we created in Creo, and there's actually the actual process there, where it starts to bring the ingot of the cheese of steel down and form a rough slab. It then goes into the forging die setup, which forges the rough shape. We then put it into the edge mill and roll the actual wheel out to diameter and form the actual tread profile, rough tread profile on the wheel. That actually, it's like a pottery wheel. It spins it and it drags it out as it's going to bring it out to the correct diameter. All these assemblies are all created in Creo. And the final operation, which is final dishing and punching the hole. So you can see there, that's the punch actually punches through and makes the final hole in the die after it's been dished. After this point, the wheel gets hot stamped with serial number and then goes into our measuring system. which is a technical armor laser system. As you can see, this system actually rotates the wheel slowly and it has a laser scanning the surface of the wheel. And it collects all that data and creates a model in the system. Now on a day-to-day basis, this system has its own standalone database, but we actually can export that 3D mesh out of that system and bring it back into Creo. We do this on any job. We've got a new job, or we've changed the mill setup to try and improve yield, or job we know we have potential problems with.